Do you want to create custom encounters from scratch, tweak monsters, customize environments, or full homebrew entire encounters that match up exactly to your players without having to use the CR system at all? Well, I've got you covered, so let's roll. Welcome to the Dungeon Coach. I'm the Dungeon Coach. I'm going to help lower that DC in your game by lowering the difficulty of creating encounters. In this video, I'm going to show you how I homebrew dynamic custom encounters, starting off with the environment and then, of course, the monsters. How do you determine the monster's health, armor class, attack modifier, damage, or cool abilities it can do? Well, I'm going to go over all that, and we'll get into adding cool mechanics to your fight, alternate objectives, and a twist. What could it be? Time out. I'm trying something out here, guys, and I want your feedback. I want to know if you like this style of video for me to do every now and then. I did a live stream recently and it was the best one we've ever done, and it was on this exact topic. I went over each one of those points I just listed off and we created a custom encounter. So what I've done is I took that entire hour-plus live stream and chopped it down into one super jam-packed video for you guys. And I'm adding in extra DM tips, so this might just be my most informative video ever. I also want to show you guys how much fun we have in our live streams, so you can come hang out Wednesdays, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. But make sure you subscribe and get those alerts so you know when they happen. So enough talk, let's get into it. I'm gonna just go through my thought process of how I create encounters, because whenever I create encounters, I do them all from scratch. You have to have some type of environment thing when you make an encounter. You have to. Even if it's a coliseum, I would have some sort of pillar in the center, something that moves, a boulder that rolls across every now and then. I had an arena battle one time where there's a boulder that would, oh, go, 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 go. Oh, go, 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 go. Mountains. I'm feeling mountains here. I think we're going mountains. I'm picturing right now a mountain canyon, like a mountain range, right? And there's a bridge of some kind. However sketchy the bridge needs to be, we don't know that yet. And you got an interesting piece, whether it's a well in the center or some sort of ledge. In our case, it's a bridge, so we have a bridge in the center. That's the idea. Get something going where the environment's changing. I love throwing in layer actions for not a boss battle. Like, it's just a layer. No, there's nobody controlling it. It's the world, right? And the world's out to get you. Oh man, there's goats. Bridge with no railings. Iron bridge with traps. Oh, see, all right. Y'all get the idea, right? This is the goat stream. Y'all talking about goats? Greatest of all time stream. More goats. Y'all want to fight goats? I'm gonna write down goats. We might have some dire goats that we're fighting here. Demon goats? I don't know. Now we're talking about monsters. Okay, so right now we said goats. we're doing goats. I never would have. There we go. Things to think about for monsters. You have action economy. Action economy is absolutely huge. One of the first things I think about is action economy, and I think about, if I have 4 players, what kind of goats do I want to throw at them? Am I throwing 4 crazy goats at them, and that's like an even battle to where I have these 4 like dire goats or whatever, and is that how I want to do it? Or do I want to have less goats that are more powerful, right? Do I have 2 goats that have some sort of dynamic between them and some sort of combo, which is, again, I'll get into that in the mechanics section, but 2 goats versus the 4 players, now I can really beef them up, right? I usually wouldn't go 1 goat. You know what I'm saying? If I did do 1 goat, I better do the villain actions and the Matt Colville, awesome villain action-oriented monsters. I use that all the time, but that would take up the whole stream. So, or if you have 4 players and you have 5 goats, 6 goats, 7 goats, oh my gosh, so action economy. So I'm thinking for these goats, I want to have 3 goats. Here's my thought on the 3 goats. I want to have these goats be stronger than a player, right? I don't want them to be able, like 1 goat versus a player, I want the goat to be able to win there. There's going to be 4 players, but what level are they? I'm thinking 5. Extra attacks and 3rd level spells, let's go. First thing is the environment. For this goat, there's 3 of them, okay? So that lets me sink in on the power level of these goats. Again, I'm not using the CR system. Now, the only caveat here with this random thing we're making is I have no idea who these players are. I don't know what the classes are. I don't know what the items are. I don't know how good they're working with each other. If I had this group of 4 players at level 6, I would have had 5 levels with them to actually see them play and know what they could handle to dial it up to the right spot, right? Now, health. How much health do you give these goats, okay? So here's just I'm spitballing some ideas here about the number for health, okay? So let's say that one of the players, and I'm gonna say one of the players is a fighter. Level 5 fighter is going to be able to have, he's going to probably have, let's just say he has 4 strength and he doesn't have he has 18 strength, so he has a +4 modifier. He's going to be swinging probably, let's just say a D10, because we don't know if he's using two-hander or not. Let's just say a D10. So he's going to be rolling about, let's just 5.5 damage, round it up to 6. 6 damage per swing, assuming he hits. +4 is 10, so he does 10 damage, right? But he has 2 swings, so that's 20 damage. You with me so far? This is just the kind of the basic, the frontline math that I'm doing for this health. So Fighter Man, Fighter Boy, he can deal 20 damage a round, but there's 4 players, okay? And I'm going to assume that all of them are about the same ability level. If they wanted to pump out damage, they would all be it. So if you had a sorcerer, he'd be doing whatever, and he'd be able to do about 20 damage. And I'm just assuming that they're all the same. Now again, I don't know who these players are, I don't know whatever, so I am estimating here. I would be able to calculate this for all of my players to find out my players' damage output per round, right? So 20 health for this fighter. There's 4 players, 20, 20, 20, 20. That's 80 points of health. So this goat, each of these goats has to have at least 80 health. That might sound crazy. That might sound totally crazy. But again, there's 3 goats. If there's 4 goats, okay, sure, I would say probably 60 health, right? As just my starting point, my baseline, whatever. So I do not want, for this fight, I do not want this goat to be one-hitter quittered and have a goat, let's say I all roll higher on initiative and they all get a surprise round of the goat. Now it's a 2 goat versus 4. Now the whole fight's screwed, right? So I am purposely trying to prevent that from happening without having to do anything during the fight and set myself up as best I can. So 3 goats, 80, let's just say they have 80 health each. Now that's how much health they have. Now the armor class. The armor class is also tied to health. I do the health first because I have to balance it. That's huge to make sure they survive. Okay, but the armor class is I think of. Do I want the players to feel like it's hard to hit this thing? It's a goat. It shouldn't be hard to hit a goat, right? So off the top of my head, armor class of a goat 14, right? In fact, here's some math here too now. Level 5 players have a +3 of proficiency, and again, I'm assuming a +4 for the primary stat. That's 7. That's 7 plus 7 to hit, right? So an armor class of 17, right? They would hit that 55% of the time. Timeout pop quiz. What % chance does a player have to roll a 10 or higher on a d20? Now you might think that, oh, well, 10 is half of 20, so 50%. And you'd be close, but lots of people get that wrong. So look, right here you'll have all 20 numbers on a d20. You have a 50% chance to roll a 1 through 10. And you also have a 50% chance to roll an 11 through 20, which is your 50-50, like flipping a quarter. So if instead I ask you what's the % chance to roll an 11 or higher on a d20, that would be a 50% chance. So then to roll a 10 or higher would just be a 5% chance more, because each one of these things has a 5% chance. So to get a 10 or higher would be a 55% chance, just over half, which is also why you need to roll a 10 or higher for death saving throws, which gives you a little bit better than 50% chance to live. Why is this so important? Let's go back to combat now. If you have a +0 to hit and you try and hit a creature with an armor class of 10, you would have a 55% chance to hit it, right? Because if you add nothing, it's just a flat die roll and you had to hit 10 or higher. And just like those death saving throws, this is cool because hitting less than half the time, that sucks. So what I just said in that video is that the players have a +7 to hit. So if I also take the armor class of 10 and increase it by 7 also, those basically cancel out and you still have a 55% chance to hit. If your players have a +5 to hit, then a 15 armor class would get you that same 55%, which is why the +0 and the armor class 10 is so important as a baseline. So now each armor class that you increase or decrease away from that 17 will increase or decrease the player's chance to hit by that 5% that we talked about earlier. I really hope this helped you find that right AC. I really hope this mini math lesson helps you find that right armor class. So let's get back to it. I want it to be more than that. So 17, maybe 15. Maybe the armor class would be 15 for these goats. And that would give them a 65% chance to hit. But again, they're goats, and I want them to hit it more often than that, so let's give them a 70% chance to hit, which would be our 14 armor class. So I was right in the beginning, we just should have stuck at 14. I hope that makes sense, and I know that's a little mathy, but it's important math to be able to have as a DM to know what the numbers are, and then backwards create it from there. So
Armor class of 14. They'll be able to hit these goats pretty easily. And again, that's fine because we've baked in the 80 health already, so the goats will survive. Okay. So there's our armor class. We have 80 health, 14 AC. Got it. I saw somebody in the comments said there should be a caster goat, a rogue goat, and a tank goat. I love that, and you don't know how often I've done that trope as far as beefed up my monsters, and like one gets more health, one gets less damage, one gets more damage and less, and one has a spell. I do that all the time, so it's really funny that you said that. I disagree with the math logic because support casters don't deal damage like that. Right, so Nathaniel, I totally agree, and I super agree because in my group that I ran the 3 years to level 20, I had one player in there that almost never dealt any damage ever. He was a chronomancy homebrew wizard, spells, speed, attack, extra attacks, haste. Like he was a buffer. So what I'm saying is his presence on the battlefield is about 20 points worth of damage. It's not going to literally be 20 points of damage. It might be a slow down chronomancy to stop one of the goats, which again is a negative effect for the bad guy side of you. Or he could boost the attack and give someone an extra swing, which is more damage. You know what I'm saying? So his presence on the battlefield is felt, maybe not in the damage number, but again, I'm just basing this off of a generic group where, you know, I just picked the fighter to be as basic as possible. But if you know your group, then you can know that. And if you have a group like that, maybe the health of these goats is now, now it's 70. Or maybe now it's 60, right? And that is exactly the type of thought process. So I'm glad you said that. You're aiming for the best case scenario, because if I aim for the best case scenario, like I said, that's what the bar the players have to go for. And if this is a hard encounter I really want to have them go for, that's what I'm going for. And they have to think creatively and tactically to be able to make it happen, right? Ghosts are shapeshifted druids. Oh, okay, Raven Rich, that's the twist. You just skipped ahead to the end of the whole thing. The twist here is these are actually shapeshifted druids. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes. Oh man, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay, let me get to the attack roll and damage. So the attack roll and damage, I just said for the players, level 5 player will have +3 to hit and +4 to their stat, whatever it is, strength, dexterity, whatever they're doing. Shooting a bow, swinging a sword, I don't care. It's a +7. So if I'm on par with the players, this goat should have at least a +7, right? But there's 3 goats, there's 4 players. I want these goats to be next level goats. This whole thing is, goats. So I'm gonna give the goats a +8 because I want them to have a little bit of an edge, right? To be able to make these attacks. So I'm giving them a +8. There we go, +8. Easy. At the same time I figure that out, it's the spell DC and saving throw. I do the same calculation. What is my spellcaster's spell DC? That is the bar, and if I have 3 goats, then that bar I'm going to be right here over him. And if I have the exact same, I'm probably going to have the spell DC be here. I look at your players to modify the or build the creatures around your players, right? And I'm going to get to that more here in a second. The damage they deal. How much damage can this goat do? A player can deal 20 damage. We estimated that again. And not all players are going to deal that damage. True. So this goat, in general, I don't like to have too many actions, too many swings. I don't want to have just, give it 2 attacks. A lot of times I'll have it be, if I see the opportunity, I'm going to have it be one big thing it does. Boom, comets moving, moving. So it's a goat. And we already heard it, ram attack. They're going to have a ram attack. So boom, ram attack. But this is where I have to interject before the cool stuff is I don't want all 3 goats to be the same. I don't want all 3 of these goats to be the same dang goat. I want to add some sort of like armored mantle to one of the, or maybe not armored, maybe it's just a heavy bone skull of this massive horns on one of them, right? And that's going to be the rammer. So if I wrote it down like in my sheet, I'd be rammer, right? And his ram attack would have extra damage added to it or a knockback attached to it at the end. So all these goats would have a charge attack, right? If they move at least 20 feet in a line, whatever. +8 to damage. We'll talk about what the damage is here in a second. And the rammer would have extra, they fly back farther. Whatever you want to add to the special one, right? That does the cool special thing. How much damage do I want these goats to do? In general, I try and think of the size of the creature as the dice. And this is just the thing that I do that has helped me balance encounters. So if we're talking about rats or kobolds or small, tiny things, I use D4s. And if we're talking about big, huge, gigantic, boom, I'm talking D12s, right? And I like the thematic thought of that because if I'm small and tiny and I'm biting, I'm gonna do damage, but my damage range is gonna be very small, but it's gonna be more consistent, right? But if you had a big, huge club swinging ogre or something, they're gonna roll D12s, and I think that makes sense because if they're smashing this D12, if they hit you, squared up, hit you, that's 12, holy crap, you're screwed. But if they like, boom, they like glancing blow you, or they nick you, they move so slowly, you're able to move kind of out of the way and it like hits your arm and drags down your body. I don't know. It's a wider range, more inconsistent because of just the size of the creature. That helps me make sense of things, right? Just when I'm making monsters, right? So this ram, it's gonna be a big dire ram. I'm not thinking D12s, definitely not 4s, definitely not 6s. I'm at the 8 or 10 range. I like D10s for this thing right now. So if their ram attack is gonna be D10s, and I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say 2 D10s. They get 1 though. They get 1, 2 D10, ram attack. The big boss man, he's gonna get 2 D10 for his ram attack with that knockback, with that strength saving throw knockback, which is going to be dangerous on that bridge. Boom, right? And the other rams are going to have 1d10 strength saving throw for the knockback as well. Okay, because I like the knockback here, and that's an important thing. I nerfed the damage on the other rams, but I did not nerf their knockback thing because I want that mechanic in the game so that they have to worry about getting knocked off a mountain, right? So I want to keep the mechanics in the game that make the threat there. And I know that the rammer we're talking about should be more special, and he's going to be more special with the damage he deals, not the punch that they come off there with. So there you go. And we'll say the horns, maybe he has like bone spurs sticking out, so it's almost like an impaling thing. Oh, what if his impales them? See what I'm saying? Anyway, you get where I'm going. Or, oh my gosh, I forgot about the plus. You are so right. And I love that you said 2d8 plus 4, because that's really close to what I was saying. I was saying 2d10 plus 4, right? So 2d10 plus 4 and 1d10 plus 4. So plus 4, it makes sense because their strength modifier would be about a 4. I would give the Rams like a, boom, 4 for the strength on that. Not going to be a 5. It's not going to be a 3. 4 sounds good. Here's another thing. I like, when I'm running an encounter and I have enemies, I like them to have the same die, right? So in general, just for ease of simplicity for myself as a DM, I would keep all the Rams at D10s. That's probably why I innately went down to 1d10 instead of 2d10. I know it's a bigger nerf than 2d10 to 2d8, but I like to have the same dice. Like, here's my dice for the Rams. They're all d10s, right? Instead of like, let me gather up DMing's hard enough. Why make it hard on yourself? So I would honestly, even if I want to do the 1d10, here's an example.
Time out. I'm back with some more DM math tips. Man, this math teacher thing is really paying off. The average roll of any die is 0.5 more than half of what the dice is. So the average roll of a D8 would be 4.5. The average roll of a D10 would be 5.5. So the damage roll of 1d10 plus 4 in this example would be 5.5 plus 4 for a total of 9.5. Another D&D math hack I have is rolling 2 of the same dice. Yeah. If you roll 2d10, I know right off the bat that that's going to be 11 average damage. So like we just said, 1d10 is going to be 5.5, and the other 1d10 is going to be 5.5. And if you notice, those 0.5s combine together to be just 1. So you could almost think of it as 10 plus 1. So basically all you need to do to calculate this is just add 1 to the biggest size of the die. So the average roll of 2d6 would be 7. Now it's your turn. For 2d12s, what would the average damage be? 13. What about 2d4s? 5. I hope this doesn't make you hate me for teaching you some D&D math. I don't know, I'll stop. Let's go back to it.
That's just the little thing that I do for ease of simplicity, right? The 6 things for the monsters we already went through was action economy, action economy, health, armor class, attack roll or saving throws, the damage they do, and cool stuff. Although I probably would have switched cool stuff and damage because you gotta figure out what cool stuff they can do, then you can balance in the damage. The next category is mechanics or the theme. What I mean by mechanics is I have my DM style of combat is there's gonna be something going on. It's never going to be like, like something's gonna be happening. I like to have something going on that the players have to figure out. Almost like a puzzle, but it's like a combat puzzle that if they figure out, the combat becomes easier, right? To reward them for creative thinking. The theme of the fight, we've already kind of been going from this whole brainstorm thing, is trying to get across the bridge, right? They're trying to get across the bridge and maybe realize that they don't have to kill these druids. Or if they do kill one, what if they kill one of the druids, the bridge starts to collapse. That's another thing, right? And these are all different types of things. And I want to leave this amorphous and like fluid because I want y'all to be able to take this and like, what do you want your theme to be? Do you want them to, are these bad druids? How do these druids connect into your story? One big thing here that I do want to talk about, we can't talk about it, flush it out, but I definitely think about this, is player spotlights. And this is exactly what Nathaniel was saying earlier. What are my players good at? Do I have somebody that's very strong and would be able to like catch this freaking goat, you know? Do I have a player that stands back far away and shooting? Like, I need to be able to challenge my players, know what they're good at, know what they're bad at, know what my players are good at, know what they're bad at, and challenge them by pushing the limits of what they're bad at and putting them in situations where they're screwed and their friends have to help them, and giving them opportunities to shine in those moments where like, oh yeah, I'm gonna set this player up to knock a freaking home run out of the park, man. This barbarian is gonna catch this ram and like gator roll muscle him down to the ground, you know? He's not gonna get knocked off. He's gonna knock the ram off. So think about your players. You can't do this in a situation because we don't know what the players are. This is all hypothetical, but that's one thing. The alternate objective, we also talked about that. And this is props to you guys in the chat for knowing that this is something that you should do. We kill the rams. Rams there. We kill the goats. They see goats, we kill goats. Like, no. Alternate objectives. If every combat is just kill the other side, you are fostering and creating, not murder hobos, but very bland thinking players that everything is just kill everything, always kill, right? So create some alternate objectives, and maybe there's maybe the mountainside is coming down, and maybe that's the druids terraforming these boulders down. I don't know. Maybe these goats' eyes are glowing, and if they make I would have. Ooh, this would be interesting. I love doing this. This is the type of clues that I give out for my mechanics. If you have mechanics in your game, you need to give the players clues to be able to figure it out, right? But not be too overt about it. So one of the players who has the highest perception, I would describe things very vaguely, and if a player started picking up on it, I'd be like, I mean, okay. If they ask for it, make a perception check. But what I would do is whichever my players had the highest wisdom or perception or whatever, I'd be like, you're noticing like, some of these goats' eyes are glowing. Not always, but sometimes they're glowing. And that's all I would say. And then through further investigation, if they ask about it, or if they roll about it, if you want to check it out, that's why I have a homebrew rule of an interaction, which is like, it's a free thing that they can do. Do I notice anything about these goats' eyes glowing? All right, make a perception check. And then maybe they start to notice the pairing of, oh, this goat's eyes glowed. Is that a word? Glowed? Glued? Glued. They glowed. They glued. They glow. I don't know. This goat's eyes glowed right when the boulders came down. Oh, interesting. Oh, you know. And y'all were talking about spellcaster goat. Maybe I would have a goat that has some sort of magical aura effect that's happening that is unexplainable, and that it's not like you're going to see the hooves of the goat cast the spell, but he's casting spells while shapeshifted, which I know druids don't get that to a much higher level, but screw it. Those rules don't apply to you DMs. Freaking do what you want, man. And then the twist. We already talked about the twist. The twist is they're freaking druids, and that is an awesome twist thanks to Raven. So, boom. Now we just need to decide what the other side, what is on the other side of the bridge? And that's where the story comes in, right? That's the whole purpose. What's this fight for, right? Every combat that I throw at my players, because combats take forever, I try to, speed them up, but that's a whole nother topic. But why are they doing this? Like, what is the whole point? Like, what are these druids trying to do? Are they trying to protect something on the other side? Is there some sort of thing that they don't want the players to get to? The players are accidentally crossing paths with, don't know, a sacred tree of some kind? I don't know.
And now we're going into overtime. Guys, for real, I want to know what you think about a video like this. I really do feel like the information I relayed in that live stream was super efficient and to the point, so I wanted to chop that up and give it to you guys while showing you a taste of what my live streams are like. I just now decided to add in this extra secret announcement. I am starting a TikTok account, which feels really strange to say, and I just learned how this whole thing works, but it'll give me another chance to be able to interact with you guys in some short DM tips. No, I will not be doing skits. Probably not. We'll see how it goes. And we'll finish things up with sending you guys back to the live stream while everyone started donating crazy amounts through the super chats. Those super chat donations during live streams, of course my patrons and YouTube members, all help me put more and more time into this passion of mine. So thank you so much for that. So links to more videos of mine and my Patreon will be popping up on the screen.
That was crazy. So again, this was a goat of a stream, guys. Stay creative, think outside that box, and go be a goat. Go be a goat. Go create some goats that are actually druids. What?